What happens if the Browns can't or don't have to draft a quarterback in 2027? We'll discuss that possibility on this episode of the BJack 70 Show. Welcome back to the BJack 70 Show. I'm your host, Brandon Jackson, and today we're discussing the possibility of the Browns not drafting a quarterback in the 2027 draft because everything we know about the 2027 class as far as quarterbacks go is kind of theoretical and projection. Um, I think we do know for sure we're going to get Arch Manning in the draft. We're going to get Dante Moore. But past that, it's a lot of projection and hypothetical. Like we could get CJ Carr, we could get Drew Mestamaker, we could get uh, Darian Mensa. We're gonna get Lenore Sellers, but we don't know how good these players and prospects will be in 2027. So let's talk about the possibility of not being able to get one of these top flight guys. And there's a couple of different reasons that we should at least think about the possibility. And the first one is, like I said, this class could not pan out in the way that we think it might, just like 2026 did. Going into 2026, we had hope for guys like Brendan Sorsby, guys like Cade Klubnik, Garrett Nussmeyer, Carson Beck, those guys, Drew Aller, those guys we had high hopes for to possibly go in the first round, but we saw what happened. It was Ty Simpson and it was Fernando Mendoza in the first round, and that was it. Um, and we didn't even think we were going to get Ty Simpson. That was kind of a surprise. So let's say it pans out like that. Say we only get two. Say we only get two of those guys, Arch Manning and Dante Moore up at the top, and we don't get anything else. There's a possibility the Browns aren't the worst team in the league this year, and you get a team like the Jets up there, and you get a team like the Cardinals up there. Both of those teams also need a franchise quarterback. So if you're going through the scenarios in your mind, that's not a crazy scenario to happen to come to fruition. There's two quarterbacks in the draft. You pick third in that draft. Both of the teams ahead of you need a quarterback. You're not getting up there. So what do you do? What do you do? Let's take a look at the free agent quarterbacks in 2027. It's not a great list. It is not a superstar list. But there are some names that can be a starter, can be a very good quarterback for you in the NFL. Now let's start out. Geno Smith. Geno Smith will be a free agent. As far as I'm going to look at all these guys through the lens of the Cleveland Browns, and I don't necessarily think Geno Smith is somebody that they would want to go after in free agency. I think, respectfully, I think he doesn't fit what they're looking for age wise. And I mean, I think he's a good quarterback still, but I don't think he's the type of quarterback Andrew Berry would look for in a free agent. You got Justin Fields out there. Who knows what he's going to look like? Maybe we think he can be another one of those reclamation projects, a la Sam Darnold, a la Daniel Jones. See if he can get rehabbed by Andy Reid in Kansas City, sitting behind Patrick Mahomes. See if they can put some of that Kansas City magic on to Justin Fields and turn him into a better quarterback. But I don't know. And then you could go back down the Jacoby Brissett route. I don't think he's going to get a long-term extension from the Arizona Cardinals, given what's gone on this offseason. But I don't know if Cleveland wants to run that back. Again, like Geno, I don't know if the age is something that they're looking forward to, plus the talent, something that they're looking forward to. So I don't know if that would work. If you're sensing a theme, there is definitely a theme. These aren't great options. These aren't great options. But now you kind of get into Mac Jones. Now, a lot of people might there's going to be a lot of differing opinions on Mac Jones. Do you think Mac Jones could be a starter? You saw him in Kyle Shanahan's offense run it pretty well while Brock Purdy was out injured. But the age old question, is it the scheme or is it the quarterback? I mean, you did see him have a little teeny bit of statistical success in Jacksonville, backing up Trevor Lawrence as well. Um, but I still just don't believe that ceiling is there with Mac Jones. So it take it or leave it, take it or leave it. So I don't, but he is an option. Another option as a backup quarterback to potentially become a starter is Tanner McKee from the Philadelphia Eagles. Um, we have no idea what he truly looks like. He, I believe, was a starter for one game when Jalen Hurts was out injured. Looked really good in that game, but nobody has any real idea of what he is as a quarterback. But he is going to be a free agent. For what it's worth, from what I've seen from like beat reporters that cover the Eagles, um, Andy Dalton has been the quarterback too in the off-season workout so far, but that could just be they're trying to get him up to speed with the Eagles and receivers and everything. It could, that could just be veteran respect. Like you never know what that could be in the off-season. So I don't want to, read too much into that, but it's just what I've seen. And that was, a few weeks ago, so it could be outdated information, but just keep Tanner McKee on your radar. I thought he was a guy that could be in play for the Browns to trade for this offseason. It looks like that's not going to be the case now. But going into the offseason, if they didn't get a quarterback in the draft or something like that, when the Anthony Richardson rumors were flying around, when the Will Levis talks were flying around, I thought Tanner McKee, especially when the Eagles went and got Andy Dalton, Tanner McKee was a guy I thought that they could potentially look into. So we'll see about that. But he is a free agent in 2027. Kyler Murray will be a free agent again. I don't think it'll be an option. I think he's we don't know. We'll see. But I'm thinking he's going to be the long term answer in Minnesota. I don't see any reason. I don't think Kyler was the problem in Arizona. Now he wasn't perfect, but I don't think he was all of Arizona's problems and they got rid of him. Um, I think he's still a good quarterback, and I think he's going to do well in Minnesota. I don't think they make the same mistake twice. I don't think they let Kyler Murray walk out of the building to try to prop up JJ McCarthy in that starting role. Um, Especially now. It's year three. Year one was gone with injury. Year two, a lot of injury there. Didn't look great when he was in there. Year three, probably not even going to be the starter. So I don't, I think time's running out for JJ McCarthy in Minnesota. But I think Kyler's going to be that long term option. Um, Tua Tagovailoa will be a free agent also at the end or going into 2027, and I that's not an option I want to explore. Don't know what the future holds for him in Atlanta. Don't know if he'll be the week one starter. Don't know if Michael Penix will come back and take that job from him. We'll see. But Tua is a 2027 option. Again, we're talking about if they can't get a quarterback that they really like in the 2027 draft. I know everything that this team has done has set up the plan for them to have a quarterback in 2027. So free agency is probably not the route they want to go. And we got one more guy to talk about in free agency. But I really don't think if they see the board how it shakes out, and that was a possibility. They're at number three. There's two good quarterbacks they want. They're going to be gone by the time you pick at three. I think they go into the trade market. I think they go into the trade market. I think they try to figure out a way to go poach somebody from somebody's team. And that would be kind of a weird situation because if you try to go poach somebody off of somebody else's roster and trade for him, that means that the team that's trading him doesn't want them anymore for whatever reason. And it's usually not a positive one. So I'm thinking like somebody that is going to be looking for an extension, but maybe they don't play up to the level that they need to get that extension. And I'm looking at somebody like Bryce Young, somebody like CJ Stroud, which sounds unfathomable right now. But I mean, if CJ has another bad year, if he looks at all like what he looked like this past playoffs, that might be an option Houston starts to talk about, even if it's highly unlikely. But the last free agent quarterback that I want to mention, and of course, if you're really locked in, if you're plugged in to the NFL in a way, I think we all are. If you're here watching, you know the last name and you know the history, and it's Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, as of right now, as of recording, is going to be a free agent in 2027. Is that something? Let's look at it from a bunch of angles. The one that doesn't really matter at all, the fan base. Is the fan base going to accept a Baker Mayfield return to Cleveland if it were to happen? If you're asking this fan, hell no. No. No, 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 no. Don't want it. Do not want it. I don't care what he's done in Tampa. I don't care how good he's looked at points. I don't care. Don't want him on the team. Don't want him back. Don't want him back. I'd rather lose. I'd rather go quarterbackless, run the triple option before we bring Baker Mayfield back to Cleveland, Ohio. And that's just how I feel personally. I have a video about me talking about how I feel about Baker Mayfield, what he's done. I have plenty of tweets. Go follow me at BJack70 on Twitter. Do a Twitter search of Baker, and you'll see how I feel about Baker Mayfield. It's too long to go into on this particular episode. But the fan base as a whole, I think there are a lot of people that would welcome him back like he was LeBron James coming back. I do feel like there's a lot of the fan base that would welcome him back like that. A lot of people feel like I do. A lot of people do feel negative towards Baker, but maybe not as strongly as I do. So I think it would be very mixed throughout the fan base. So I don't know. I can't give a real majority take on what the fan base will feel like there. The front office, the head coach Todd Monken, it wouldn't really matter, I don't think, on either side. But the front office, Andrew Berry being the GM, would he want to bring Baker Mayfield back? I feel like no. I feel like also no, because he's part of the brain trust that saw him, evaluated him, was part of the decision-making process to trade him to Carolina. He was here for that. He saw it up close and personal. Up close and personal. We know now, it's been what, 5-6 years later. We know how Andrew Berry gets down. We know Andrew Berry values winning and will bring in whoever he thinks can win. Whoever he think can help contribute to winning, Andrew Berry will make sure they're on the Cleveland Browns roster for good or for bad. And we know that. With that being said, they had Baker Mayfield in the building. They saw him up close and personal. They saw his work habits. They saw his attitude. They saw his play on the field, and they said, "No, thank you. We're okay. We'll move on. Best of luck to you." Don't even know if they said best of luck. They could have said some other 4-letter words on the way out. We don't know. But I don't think I don't think they'll be, happy to sign up for that again. At least Andrew Berry happy to sign up for that again. So I don't think that'll work out on that side. And then from Baker's side, I would assume he feels the same way. I would assume if he saw Andrew Berry in person, he would be polite, he would be cordial, but inside he would be going back to Oklahoma and grabbing his crotch and putting up the middle finger at Andrew Berry if he could. If he thought he could get away with it, he would do it. He would do it. So I don't think Baker has any interest. I mean, of course, if the Browns were going to pay him an exorbitant amount of money, I'm sure, all could be forgiven in that way. But I don't see that happening. So I don't think Baker Mayfield is a real option for the Cleveland Browns in 2027. I don't care what happens. I don't care if he is the only quarterback available. They'll re-sign Deshaun Watson before they bring Baker Mayfield back in here. I think we'll get another. If we're third overall pick, put Taylor Green in. Put Taylor Green in. See what he can do before bringing back Baker Mayfield. So I really don't think that's a possibility. But we're going to be thorough, so we have to explore all the possibilities. Now, there's other, free agents. There's guys like Marcus Mariota and some other names that I didn't really get into, but I don't really think they are starter level because a lot of people I talked about, I don't think are going to be, long-term starting level quarterbacks. Only ones possibly Tua, even though I don't think so. Mac Jones, even though I don't think so. Geno Smith, I don't think it's a fit, and Baker, who I just talked about. So, if that was the possibility, if that was the hypothetical that came true, I think the Browns would be in trouble. If they went through the year, got the number 3 overall pick, that means Shedeur didn't work out. That means Deshaun didn't work out. That means it was kind of an abject failure on offense, or whatever happened, but it was a failure if they end up with the 3rd overall pick. So if that was the case, that would be a true disaster, a true overwhelming disaster. But let's look at it on the other side. Let's say the Browns aren't in range for any of the top quarterbacks. Say there's, the 2 we think, say maybe there's a 3rd, maybe there's a 4th, but the Browns have pick number 9 or the Browns have pick number 10 and there's 4 quarterbacks that go in the top 8. Then what do you do? You're out of range, but you might not necessarily need one. Or, maybe that's not even the scenario. Maybe Shedeur plays well. If Shedeur plays well, you pick 17th. Or you pick how many you pick 18th, you pick 19th, you pick 20th with your own pick. You barely got in wild card round. You looked pretty good throughout the season. A lot of people say it's unlikely, but that's a possibility. So let's say you have the quarterback on your roster. No matter who it is, you found the guy, you have the quarterback on your roster. What happens then? Then we can really, start to have some fun. We can start to have some fun there because depending on, where the Rams pick is, where your own pick is, you can kind of, make a couple moves for teams that aren't looking for a quarterback up higher. So this is where I want to talk about the 2027 class, the high end of the 2027 class, outside of the quarterbacks. And this is just a small group, a small number of these prospects, but we all know number 1 on the big board probably over all the quarterbacks, truly might be Jeremiah Smith. We all know Jeremiah Smith, wide receiver from Ohio State, the best wide receiver prospect in a long time. Maybe since Jamar Chase, maybe since who was before Jamar Chase. I don't know, but excellent wide receiver prospect, best player coming out of high school in a while. Also, been a dog ever since he stepped on campus. If you even think you might have the guy at quarterback and you got a chance to get Jeremiah Smith, I think you have to take it. Even though we've improved on the wide receiver room, Jerry Jeudy, Casey Concepcion, Denzel Boston, Harold Fannin at tight end. There are good pass catchers. We think will be good pass catchers. If there's any possible reason for you to be able to take Jeremiah Smith, I think you would do yourself a disservice if you didn't. Because I truly think that guy is going to be a special wide receiver. One of those pantheon type guys playing wide receiver that we talk about. I'm not gonna drop the names. I don't want to compare him to who people were comparing him to, but I think he's really good. I think he's going to be a superstar in this league. You gotta really consider, no matter where you're at, if you're in range to take him, even if you are considering quarterbacks, you really have to consider what Jeremiah Smith can bring you. And then, you go off of Jeremiah Smith, there's still Cam Coleman coming out of Texas. We know he's a super duper 5-star coming out of Auburn, going to Texas. We'll see what he can do with Arch Manning, with a real quarterback over there. Hopefully he can light it up like we all think he can. And then you got Ryan Williams out of Alabama, down sophomore season, dealt with some drops issues, dealt with some like separation issues, and wasn't playing with the confidence that he was playing with in his freshman year. I'm really hoping he can get back to the level that we saw him at as a freshman. Jeremy Bernard kind of, bumped him out of the way and took that number one spot over in a big way last season. But I'm hoping Ryan Williams can, get it together and really, really be who we think he is and what we've seen him be already in college. And possibility of making the offensive line better, taking what could possibly be a strength, making it stronger, or you see what you got on the offensive line. Maybe if you need to plug a hole, you move Fano around, you move Howard around, and you get one of these tackles. You get Jordan Seaton or Gooseby from Texas, one of those guys. Like, these guys seem to be elite prospects at tackle. All of these guys I'm talking about seem to be very, very, very highly touted prospects. And then if you move over to the defensive side of the ball, we got some edges. We got a couple edges that I don't want to invoke the guy's name that the Browns just traded because I don't know. I do know none of these guys are that. Pretty much nobody can be that guy. But we got some elite edge prospects, and we got one coming out of Texas, Colin Simmons, and we got one coming out of South Carolina, Dylan Stewart. Both those guys, I'm huge fans of both those guys. Really excited to see what they do this season in college football. But you're going to hear a lot of both their names. Do you want to, again, make a strength an even bigger strength? And you got Jared Verse, you got Mason Graham. Hopefully you got a healthy Mike Hall, and then you add Dylan Stewart to it. You can't block anybody. You can't block anybody because there's so many bodies around. You can't double one guy. Dylan Stewart's going to get free. You double him. Jared Verse is going to get free. You you chip one side, double the other side. Mason Graham is going to come open in the middle. That could be something that they think about. That would be like a best player available. Not non quarterbacks. Those two guys are in that running as well. And then we've seen who got traded away already this offseason. There's speculation from a lot of fans like myself. Denzel Ward might be the next to go. Maybe not anytime soon. Maybe it's during the season. Maybe it's next off season. But we're seeing the writing on the wall. Maybe he's gone. You got another superstar type prospect corner coming out of Notre Dame, and his name is Leonard Moore. That brother is one of the best cornerback prospects we've ever seen. So you have to take a look at him. There's better people to talk about the cornerback position more than me. I'm a lineman, so I don't know all the technique. I don't know what all goes into playing cornerback, but I know it when I see it. He's locking dudes up, locking dudes down, cue up the Akon locked up music video, put Leonard Moore in it. So that would be on the positive side. If you do think you have a quarterback, you get one of those guys. Or unfortunately, if you can't get one, that would be a good, those guys would be good consolation prizes. You can't get a quarterback. Oh, damn, we end up with Jeremiah Smith. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Okay, I guess we'll just use our second round pick to maybe we'll try out Julian Sayin, see if they can connect on, connect in the NFL. We'll take a shot. But Sayin didn't work out. Oh, we still got Jeremiah Smith. So hopefully it doesn't come down to this. Hopefully we know going into the 2027 offseason if we have a quarterback or not. And we're going to know. We're going to figure it out. Whether it's Deshaun Watson, whether it's Shedeur Sanders. At this point, if it's Brendan Sorsby as well, we're going to know. We're going to figure it out. But I just wanted to put you guys in the mindset of thinking of, what if we can't get an Arch Manning? What if we can't get a Dante Moore? What if CJ Carr doesn't pan out the way we think? Or what if Darian Mensah doesn't pan out the way we think and he's not a top pick? A lot could go wrong. We see what happened with Brendan Sorsby. We thought Brendan Sorsby was going to be in the mix in 2027, and that whole saga has gone how it's gone. Hell, maybe we know going into 2027, Brendan Sorsby is our quarterback because we took him in the supplemental draft and he got on the field and he lit it up. Who knows? So thank you for watching this episode of the BJack 70 Show. If you're still here, go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next week.